and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We have perhaps our biggest episode ever because, Kirk, there's been a lot of chatter about 2023. It's awards season. Everybody's looking back at the last year in movies. We're into the new year. So let's talk about the new year. Let's take a pass on the awards chatter for a bit, and let's talk about 2024. What are the biggest films coming out in 2024? What are people looking forward to? What are we looking forward to? We've got a panel of movie experts here with us today. We are so excited for this conversation and so thrilled that you are here to join us. Let's get into it.
Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
Hello, and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We are just thrilled to have you here. With me, as always, my right-hand man, my co-host, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
And I am your other co-host, Cam. And as you can see, we have a panel of movie watching, reviewing, enjoying experts with us today to talk about the 2024 slate of films, Kirk. It's finally time to talk about 2024. We can turn the page. Are you ready for this?
It's finally time, although I do regret that we didn't plan like a Brady Bunch kind of look.
That would have been
down,
good.
Left, right.
Next time.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that would have been good.
I'm dating myself.
This is close. This is as close as we could get this time, but next time we'll have that all worked out. So we have three fabulous guests joining us today. Kirk, would you like to do the honors of introing them to our fine listeners?
I'm not worthy, but I would love to. First up, we have Miss Lynn Venhouse. Lynn is a host and writer and critic galore. You can check her out on Pop Life STL. You can check her out on Lynn Goes to the Movies on KTRS every Friday morning with Wendy Weiss and Jennifer Blome. And she's a Rotten Tomatoes critic, a Critics' Choice Association critic. Just phenomenal. Out of the water, she blows us. So thank you so much, Miss Lynn Venhouse, for being here.
Well, thank you. I always enjoy talking to you guys.
Likewise.
Next up, we have Dr. Z. Ranger Rogers, my former mentor and teacher and no, I don't know. We coach a speech team together, and he's the lead. He's fantastic. He's a film enthusiast. He's a film expert, a film teacher, and recent doctor recipient. Hello, Mr. Ranger Rogers.
Greetings. I'm so happy to be here. I have been listening since episode 1, although I will admit there's been a drop-off in the last few years, but don't worry, there's been a drop-off of everything for the last few years, so it's not personal.
That's all right.
I cannot wait to get back into some of these episodes. Your show's awesome. I'm happy to be here.
And Kirk, because he was your teacher, you have to refer to him as Mr. Rogers throughout this. That's
Yes.
just how that goes. And I really wanted to be in Mr. Rogers' class, but I had band.
Oh,
it's not cool. Not cool at all. That's messed up.
Boo, boo. Yes, I will 100% only call you Mr. Rogers the whole time here.
I love it.
And last but certainly not least, yes, we have Mr. Tim Shiflett, executive producer of the Hero Movie Podcast. You can also call them HMP. You can check out their podcast anytime where all podcasts are available. Mr. Tim Shiflett, welcome to Popcorn for Breakfast.
So happy to be here, you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, so
I need to say that we are the reigning champion of the St. Louis I Love Movies Trivia Night.
Yes, we are. This is half of the team.
Of the team.
That's right.
Along with Jim Tudor and Alex McPherson. So I have to say that.
You do. And I'm glad you brought it up.
Robert Hunt.
Robert Hunt.
Yeah, and we're ready to go again as soon as they announce it.
That's the thing. We were so good, and we won so astoundingly. They had to shut down the event for all future years, is what I heard.
That's scared. What I heard. They're so scared of us.
Yes, thank you for the plug. So, the topic du jour, as I teed up in the open, is 2024 most anticipated films, and this is an interesting slate, and we wanted to get a bunch of perspectives on here because that's really one of our goals for the year on the podcast is to get as many perspectives on here as humanly possible so that you can hear all sorts of opinions and not just our opinions. But I'm especially excited looking at this slate, Kirk, and getting into it to see what people are going to pick. So let's just get into it. Lynn, I want to hear your one of your most anticipated films of the year.
Okay, I tried to go. I made a list. I've got about 10, so I know that's bad because we only get 3. So I decided to go with directors that I'm looking forward to see what they've got next.
Yes.
So my first one is Civil War by Alex Garland.
That's one of mine.
That comes out April 12th, and it stars Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, along with Kaylee Spiney, who played Priscilla last year, and then Nick Offerman as the president of the United States. And it is what it says, Civil War. And we all know that is kind of a threat looming in our country. And Alex Garland is, I think, one of the most exciting directors. He did Ex Machina, plus a movie that was very hit or miss, but I liked it a lot, Annihilation, with Natalie Portman.
Love that film.
So I'm really looking forward to this, and they expect it to be controversial. So, it's a must see.
Yeah, I agree with that pick, and I haven't loved a ton of what Alex Garland has done more recently. I did love Ex Machina. I liked Annihilation, but I agree, Lynn. I'm excited about this one. I think the one good thing about Alex Garland always is that he's going to take a big swing and do something bold, and that's what you want.
I was going to say, if I may, Alex Garland being at the helm of that is why I want to see it. It looked like if in the hands of, say, a Roland Emmerich or something like that, it would be a flaming piece of garbage. But it looks kind of like one of those disaster things that would be thrown at us every year back in the 90s and 2000s, and the fact that it's Garland and he has such an interesting take on everything that he's done so far, like it or not, makes that one absolutely a must-see for me.
For sure.
Yeah. And Kirsten Dunst, like, coming back, just swinging for the fences after Melancholia and even The Power of the Dog. Like, she is in it. So it's going to be an exciting performance, I think.
Yeah.
All right.
With Jesse Plemons, her partner.
Her partner.
Yes.
That's exciting too. Nice on-screen dynamic there. Let's move on to the second movie. Ranger, why don't you take us away on this one?
Oh wait, that's Mr. Rogers.
Right. I agree. Civil War was on my list as well, but I tried to think about directors that I was most interested in seeing. So I've been out of the loop, and it was fun to kind of see some upcoming projects I'm interested in. Number one at the top of the list for me, no question, is The Way of Wind, the new film coming out by Terrence Malick. And I am a huge fan. It's not something for everyone, I'm sure. And maybe like that last pick too, something that could be a little controversial. The story is the story of Jesus.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Terrence
Tim, I was
Malick.
hoping you might throw me with the line. You said it, man.
You said it, man. Jesus. Me and Liam, we gonna.
No, one thing I do love about Terrence Malick is the man puts together an incredible cast of actors. This looks like a great one too. I think I'm most excited about potentially seeing Mark Rylance as Satan. Sometimes I get the idea that with a story like this, it might run into the territory of The Last Temptation of Christ. Mm-hmm. A little bit of a...
Is that a bad thing?
No, but maybe a controversial one. Yeah. Like I said, it could be something that potentially divides audiences. Mm-hmm. I always love a Terrence Malick story, and it's one of those things that I look forward to every year. So for me, Way of the Wind is at the top of the list this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to often fall on the other side of the Terrence Malick continuum of like it not being for me. But there have been some that I just have absolutely adored, like The Tree of Life. I really love that movie, yeah. And there's a bunch of good ones. But it's one thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I have not dove. English teachers, please help me into Terrence Malick enough. So I don't. Thank you. So that'd be interested to jump right into there. One of my endeavors that Cameron has put on me is to watch more animated films. So I think I'm going to also add Terrence Malick films this year as well.
Awesome.
All right.
I would recommend.
Yeah. Tim, what you got?
Very top of my list of things that I know for sure are coming out this year is something that was supposed to come out in 2023, Dune Part 2.
Yes.
Denis Villeneuve, loved everything since Sicario. Another director who has a whole backlog of things that I want to check out. But Dune Part 1 was such an experience, and it was such a wonderful welcome back to the movies. I think in 2021, I think that came out. And I saw 3 movies that year in the theater. One of them was Nobody. One of them was Shang-Chi. And then the other one was Dune Part 1. And tried to see that as many times as I could. I am so excited about this. I went in knowing very, very little about Dune. And my lovely partner, Jody, is the big Dune fan. And so she was able to kind of annotate some things. I had some friends when Lord of the Rings came out that were able to kind of tell me what was important and what I needed to pay attention to back in 2001. But everything Denis Villeneuve does is going to be beautiful to look at the very least. I know that pacing is kind of an issue for some with the Dune series, but I love everything that he did in that first film. Even, casting some people who I'm not super keen on. Not the biggest Timothée fan.
You can join Kirk on that.
Come with
that
me.
side.
Come with me.
Despite the cool name, he's a little bit milk toast, but
yes.
I love Rebecca Ferguson. I love Josh Brolin. Dave Bautista was really fun in that. Javier Bardem, it was so good to see him in that. We've got Lea Seydoux who's going to show up in the new one. Christopher Walken. I know he's going to be interested.
Austin Butler is going to play the part that Sting played.
He's another actor I'm just not super
Fade
into.
Routha. That's going to be a crazy role.
To me, I had to wait to see. He's the real deal. I just started watching. I had early access to Masters of the Air.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
really good in that. But you know who surprised me the most out of the first Dune 2 years ago was Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa again. Somebody I'm not super
Duncan,
into.
Idaho.
The people I was into in the first one, I'm like, oh yeah, Oscar Isaac. I'll watch whatever he's doing, and that. I really grew to enjoy these characters. I can't wait to see what's next. I think there's going to be a third movie eventually, so we're going to have to, sit and wait for that one as well. But boy, I was so bummed when that got pushed back, but March 1st is not all that far away now.
I thought Cam's head was going to explode when they pushed it back because
I was catatonic. I was so sad. It was bad.
I will see that on the biggest, loudest screen that I possibly can.
Yes.
And speaking of crucifixion moments earlier, we recently posted about my hatred for Timothée Chalamet, and I was almost murdered on Facebook.
It was bad.
And X and everything.
I had to disavow. I had to disavow Kirk because of. I was like, this does not reflect the opinions of the entire podcast. Like, please.
I get why people like him. I will say that, but as I was saying before the show, I'm not in the target audience for a lot of things anymore. So
I have to name drop here. Okay,
do it.
He came to St. Louis for a special weekend to show Beautiful Boy.
Ooh.
And this was when he was just on the rise, and he appeared with Nick Shiflett, who was the bassist. He was the beautiful boy in the story, and they were there to put the focus on the topic of drug addiction and how lives are lost and everything. That's why he came. He was in the middle of shooting Little Women, and he came and he did like 5 stops in 3 days. And St. Louis was one of them. It was at the High Point, and the film company asked me to do the Q&A. So I was really nervous because, but I will say he was very polite, very chill. You could tell he was tired, but he went with it. He had a lot of respect and affection for Nick, and they bonded. And He had very beautiful skin.
Well, to coin a Simpsons phrase here, I don't wish him any specific harm.
But really quick, I asked him if there was anything off limits, and he said, I'd like them to just stick to the movie.
Okay.
And so I told the crowd, you can't talk about Lady Bird or Hostiles or what was the other one that he was in the Call Me by Your Name,
Sure.
that one.
Yep.
Okay.
So the entire audience got up and left.
No. I said to the audience that, so they did do it, but it was mostly girls and they went crazy. But the minute it was over, I thought we were going to be trampled to death because there was such this mob that went after him. We were just like, oh my God, this poor kid, because it was just chaos. But anyway, that was my aside, just my personal viewpoint. And I actually did think he was pretty good in Wonka. I thought he was adorable and charming, and sure, nobody's going to mistake him for Josh Groban. But
Yep.
And then if you see him once in a while in an interview, he's pretty funny.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So there's my thing.
He's just not a selling point on a film for me yet.
I'm in favor of him in general. I'm in favor of him in Dune. If I share all my thoughts on Dune,
he's great.
We'll be here forever. But this was the top of my list. I think Denis Villeneuve did everything that you should do with that source material by making the first movie only the first half of the first book, and he cut exactly the right things that should be cut. I just thought it was genius. So I can't wait. March 1st cannot come soon enough. Mm-hmm. All right, Kirk, do you want me to go or you to go first?
Well, sir, I would love for you to go.
Okay, I'll go, and I'll be quick because I want to let our panelists share mostly their opinions. Mm-hmm. I have to go with Deadpool 3. I have to go with Deadpool 3 because I just love the stakes of it, the business stakes. Because here's how I view it. This is like everybody's going to go see this movie. It's not like the other Marvel movies that were getting skipped this year. This is the one that everybody's going to go see, and if it sucks, it's over. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is over because it's close right now. But Deadpool is untainted by what's been going on in the MCU recently. Mm-hmm. So if that comes in and does its job, like it's back, and if it doesn't, it's over. So I am just like beyond. Plus, I love the first two movies, but I'm beyond excited for that one.
Right.
There's controversy even for my wanting to see it because I have mixed feelings about Hugh Jackman.
Yes,
after such a perfect ending.
I know
of Logan. Logan is in my top 3 or 4 movies of the 20 teens, and seeing him in the yellow old school Wolverine costume,
it's nothing sacred. It's nothing sacred.
I feel like I just have to trust them. I feel like I just have to trust the people making Deadpool 3.
You do.
But,
you do. It's.
We'll see.
We will definitely see. So that's
I will be
up
there.
Hopefully it's $1 billion film. All right, I would say my most anticipated film of 2024 has to be If, with directed and helmed by Mr. John Krasinski.
Mine too.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that this is because it's such an original tale, and it's I trust John Krasinski with my life. Just to give listeners, if you haven't been following what this story is about, the blurb out there is this. A young girl who goes through a difficult experience begins to see everyone's imaginary friends who have been left behind as their real-life friends have grown up. And as someone in their 30s, I just always think about, where am I? Am I an adult? Am I still like this overgrown kid? And thinking about my imaginary friends as a kid too, I'm like, man, this movie will rip my heart out in such a positive way that I can't wait for it.
Yeah,
I love it. Sounds good.
So Lynn, that's on your top as well?
Yes, because I agree. John Krasinski, everything he touches is terrific.
Yes. It's so true.
Yes.
Didn't he have that show during the pandemic that he did that was like a
Yes, good news.
Some Good News, right? Was that what it's called?
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. I mean, what an awesome project. And that's why I saw this one too. Very high on my list as well. I just thought this just looks like something I'm going to enjoy.
It looks like fun.
For sure. All right, so that brings us back to Lynn. Lynn, what else you got on your list?
All righty. I have the, excuse me here. Speaking of John Krasinski, I have to go with A Quiet Place Day One.
Yes.
Because the first two, part 1 and 2, fascinating, directed by John Krasinski, but he is not at the helm here. Michael Sarnowski, who did Pig, Nicolas Cage, one of the best performances ever. And I am really excited. This is going to be June 28th. And I am so excited because this is the first day of the alien attack, because they kind of teased it in part 2, but nobody really knows what happened. We've just seen the aftermath. And so this is going to have Lupita Nyong'o and I forget the rest of but I can't wait for this.
Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things fame. Michael Sarnowski's also bringing one of his Pig castmates, Alex Wolff, who I absolutely love.
Right.
And Jaimin Hansu, who was in part 2 of A Quiet Place. And I guess they're going to talk about that little group that, Emily Blunt and team stumble across there.
Yes.
So that'll be very, very interesting. I can't wait for that one.
Yes.
And Pig was awesome. Nicolas Cage. Oh man, I love that movie. Rocked.
So great.
He was just he was a St. Louis Film Critics Association Best Actor that year.
Yeah, well deserved for sure.
I've heard nothing but good things about that one. I haven't seen it either.
Oh,
Let's watch that sometime, Ranger.
All right, Ranger.
Absolutely.
You're back on the clock.
All right, so you might regret it. You're going to pick a snoozer of a film, but let me explain. So I am a huge fan of slow cinema. And there's something about it that I just absolutely adore. So like when I was young, I watched the film Ohazad Balthazar, Bresson film. Dug it. Tim, you and I last year saw what I think was probably my favorite film of last year, a little film out of Poland called EO, which was inspired by it.
So
but
good.
These slow films are they're not everybody's cup of tea. So I like to explain it to some people sometimes. Like if you ever watch like a fan, like the blades of a fan going around really fast, right? They start and they look like they're going clockwise. And then if you stare at it long enough, it looks like they start going counterclockwise, right? Sometimes in these slow films, it feels like nothing's happening. Like they're just droning on, nothing's going on, but they make you think inwardly. And they make you stop and think about your own life and how you would react in these situations and, your own life situations. So there are some really famous action films, right? Like Once Upon a Time in the West, Once Upon a Time in America. There was Once Upon a Time in India, which I love, Lagan. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. But about 10 years ago, there was this film called Once Upon a Time in Anatolia. It was in Turkey, and it's by this director, Nuri Ceylan. There's almost no plot. It's almost 3 hours long. It's like one of these perfect examples of a film that some people say, why would you make me watch this? And the honest truth is, I have some people that I'm dear friends with that I will watch films like this with. And they will say, what on earth is that? Or they'll fall asleep, right? And there might be a part of me that says, do I just get it and you don't? Like, I'm moved by this. I'm almost in tears and you're yawning over here. There's something about it that it only clicks sometimes with a certain audience. So get to the point. Nuri Ceylan is releasing a film this year that's called About Dry Grasses. And it's the story of this man in Anatolia, once again, in Turkey. And he is a teacher. And he's in this rural area and wants to go back to the city, back to Istanbul. But The story kind of revolves around some controversy in his town. Now, what's so great about these stories sometimes, especially this director, is nothing really happens, and I don't expect there to be much of a plot with this story either. But what I know is, for certain, for about 3 hours, I'm going to be watching a story that when I leave, I'm going to be thinking about myself in a way that I've never thought before. And that is something that I think is worth checking out. So I promise that's the only one on my list that's just like, what the heck is this story? Slow cinema is not for everybody, but please go check it out. It's an amazing movie, amazing director. I can't wait to see this one. I hope more people see it.
I have such a long history of listening to Ranger's recommendations, and he listens to mine too, but he points me in the direction he can find these things that I would never have heard of. I never would have heard of or seen EO without him. And I'm so grateful for him doing that. I mean, when we were first friends, I remember, Ranger, you showed me that short film, Inha.
Oh, yeah.
And just like, what is this man showing me?
But, you know what? Like, sometimes I tell people who find a movie like that maybe boring, or a director like that boring. It's like, imagine if you were in a cafeteria and all of a sudden everyone froze. All the conversations, all the action, maybe even a food fight. Everyone froze, but you didn't. Mm-hmm. Would you think it was boring? I mean, would you just sit there and do nothing with everybody else? Or would you start like walking around the room, looking at every single aspect of what's happened frozen in time? Just because a movie's slow doesn't necessarily mean nothing's happening, right? We are still doing things. I can't go on and on enough about that.
I love that description. I'm very interested in all of these now. Can we start a Google sheet of these slow movies that we can?
Sure. Yes. Well, that's one of the criticisms of Past Lives, and I just tell people, just stick with it.
Yeah.
There are things in its silences. There are things to be pondered. So,
absolutely.
Wow. My favorite kind of film is the kind that days later I'm still thinking about, just, pondering, what did they mean by this? What did this shot mean? What did this line and the way that they said it mean? And I've pulled complete 180s on films that I hated while I was watching, but thought about it for a week, saw it again, and it's like, click, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome. That's what it's all about. All right, Tim, you're up actually. So
okay, well, my next one, I'm going to kind of piggyback, do a little callback to when you said "if." It reminded me of Inside Out and good old Bing Bong. The most heart-wrenching moment of a Pixar film since like Toy Story 3. I am not a mark for Disney everything. Or Pixar everything, but I am very much looking forward to Inside Out too, just because it's Inside Out, and I loved just the way that they told such a simple story of a confused girl having a bad weekend with this like Herman's head type of way. I'm old. That's an old reference to Herman's head, but when we get to see these different emotions at play. I'm interested in, I heard Maya Hawke is playing anxiety. Not sure what the difference is between, I'll be interested. I'll say it that way. I'll be interested to see what the difference is going to be between like fear and anxiety. What other emotions? They've only teased us with the little shot of just some eyes looking out of the shadows. And when Pixar hits a home run, they hit such a home run, and I'm hoping that this is another home run for them.
They could use it, and Inside Out is like criminally underrated. I think it's such a beautiful animated film, or film
so
in general. The score of the film is so beautiful. I just love it. It gets stuck in my head all the time. Yeah, and it's so good for children. If you have young kids, teaching them about emotions and how it's okay to feel different things. It's really a beautiful concept. So I agree. I think this is the Pixar movie most deserving of a sequel. So I'm glad that they are doing it, and I hope that they do it justice, because I think there's so much good coming from that.
Yeah.
Still holding out hope for a Bug's Life sequel someday.
My kids were just talking about that. They're like, "Where's a Bug's Life 2?" I was like, "Well, it never happened. Maybe it
never
will."
happened, and but very much looking forward to that one. Again, just not, and that is saying something coming from me, just because usually Disney, I'm like, they're just Disney gonna Disney. But
Pixar's next level though.
Pixar's
Pixar always makes me cry. It's always so much thought involved in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and that's
I've only seen one or two that were just kind of Good Dinosaur, was just
that one, and
but then their batting record is amazing.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I don't know if this is a weird one for my next one, but I'm going with an animated film. The Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim is a feature-length animated film that is coming out. That is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I believe is within the canon of the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings world, as we have a returning actor returning to reprise her role as Éowyn. I adore the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I adore Tolkien's Middle-earth world. I find it amazing. I think it suits animation so well. There were some really good old animated Lord of the Rings movies back in the day that I used to watch when I was a kid. Yes, exactly. And
speaking of movies that never got a sequel.
Yeah, and the Rohirrim, the Riders of Rohan, the Horse Kingdom. It's one of the most compelling, visually compelling aspects of the Middle Earth and that world. And I can't even believe this project is a thing. I'm so excited about it. So I can't wait. I think it's all upside on that one for me. I just feel
learned
like it's
about it this week. In preparation for this, I saw, Lord of the Rings, what? At first I thought it was like the next season of Rings of Power or something, but no, it's its own thing. That's very cool.
Should be very cool. So I'm hyped for it.
Wonderful. Well, there's a lot of animation talk, so I might as well pick my next one, which was already animation. It is Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Nice.
I am so excited for this. This is one of my favorite books when I was a kid, and I've got 3 kids. My oldest didn't really care for the book, but my daughter, it's what we connect on such a deep level. She loves this book, and we read it probably 3 times a month, if not more. And she always picks it, and she loves sitting down and reading it with it. It's such an adventure of a book. This was supposed to release last year. It got pushed. I only hope that's for good reasons. It's got an incredible voice cast that's already assigned to it, but do yourself a favor, go find Harold and the Purple Crayon at your library, or hopefully you already own it, or go purchase it on Amazon. It is so just magical, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this in an animated form on the big screen.
Yes.
Cool.
Should be very good. That'll be fun.
That's awesome.
All right, final round, and then if we have any honorable mentions we want to lightning through, we can always do that too, because that's just for fun. But Lynn, give us one more that you are really looking forward to.
All right. I am interested in seeing Furiosa, Mad Max Fury Road's follow-up. Directed by George Miller again.
That's one of mine.
And it will star Anya Taylor-Joy in the Charlize Theron role, and Chris Hemsworth is going to be in it too. So I'm interested to see this it's her backstory, and she was such a commanding presence in that last film. So I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah, Lynn, what did you think of the trailer? Because I've been seeing some buzz online of people being like, because I thought the trailer was fantastic. I'm very excited about it, but there were a lot of people saying this doesn't have the same visual appeal as the last movie. You're still feeling excited about the trailer for it?
Yeah, I don't pay too much attention to trailers because, as you know, sometimes trailers are so misleading.
Yes. You're
and
exactly right.
therefore I have a critic friend who doesn't watch any trailer.
Yeah.
I
try to avoid them if
should
can.
do that. Yeah,
Wow.
I really should. I'm too addicted to trailers. I watch them over and over again, but it's not always helpful.
Sometimes I'm so disappointed when I really see it. I'm like, well, this isn't what they promised.
That's right.
Or then the ones that give everything away.
We could
Then
go
you
into
kind of are suspect, you know.
go to a whole episode
Like
misleading
a good trailer is a lost thing. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
that seems like something that's so rarely do you see a good trailer anymore.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
It's
they're
so
very
true.
like they're all like AI generated now. They're all like very cookie cutter. They're like, we need a popular song that's slowed down with a different
Slowed down and sung in a mopey voice, and
yeah, it's so
at least
true.
one part where things go, you know.
Well,
Exactly.
if you based The Exorcist Believer on the trailer, you would think it would be good, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point. Yeah, Furiosa looks awesome, and Anya Taylor-Joy is amazing, and I continue to find it so insane what Mad Max has turned into. For like, if you go back and revisit those initial films, it's like, wow, look at what this has become, and the fact that now we've got this spin-off, it looks really, really neat.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And Anya Taylor-Joy, just absolute
She's a powerhouse.
fire. And
She
Chris
is.
Hemsworth, my second favorite Chris, he's going to be an absolute just phenomenal man.
I have to ask, who's your first?
It's got to be Chris Pine, number one.
Chris Pine, yes, I'm with you on that one.
Thank you, Tim.
D&D was
D&D was awesome.
so underrated. I loved it so much.
Jonathan. We talk about that all the time. That's a great. That was such a pleasant surprise, that movie.
I can only ask one question. Yes.
What is the Amazon movie that he was in as the CIA agent that's so compelling and he's so good, but it was on streaming during the pandemic, I think, at the tail end, and it's fabulous. What is that, guys?
I'll find it real quick because I watched it and I loved it. It had, is it All the Old Knives or, what is it?
Something
Yep,
like that.
that's it.
So good.
Contractor, or is it the contractor? I don't know.
Yep,
All the old knives.
All the
No,
old
not
knives.
that. No, not that.
Not
Oh,
that
it was
one.
Wonder Woman 1984. That's the one.
How dare you?
Kirk doesn't talk about Wonder Woman 1984.
We don't talk about that.
That's not actually Chris Pine. That's his twin. No, it's him and Thandie Newton in all the old knives. It's really
All
quite
the old
good.
knives. Yes.
Yep.
That is one of those that falls through the cracks, because there's some things on streaming that people just ignore because they haven't heard, and that is one to put on your radar.
Definitely.
I love it. All right, Ranger, back over to you.
Okay. I'm a sucker for a good, scary movie, horror film, anything that fits in that genre, and especially something that kind of feels fresh and new, but also it's just not like a superficial scare. There's something deep to it. Like, do you remember that movie, The Descent, from a long time ago?
Oh, yes.
I loved that film. There's a lot to dig into there. There was one that came out a few years back that I mean, just absolutely one of my favorite in recent years, called It Follows.
Yes.
And the follow-up to that, They Follow, is something that is definitely on my radar. I have high hopes. There's not a good track record for sequels with scary movies, I know. But I feel like there's still more territory to explore with the story, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So it sounds like most of the same creative team is back for it. So I'm looking forward to this.
Existed. I had no idea that they were making a They Follow. I am such a fan of that first film. So
Yeah, really great.
That's one that I haven't
we're
seen.
there.
I remember when Cam went to see it, one of his friends invited him, and I said, "How was that?" He's like, "It was incredible."
It was so good.
Like, he had such a good recommendation coming out of it. So that's something I need to check out immediately.
It felt
Everything,
like
that's one of those ones where everything you hear about it is true. Like, that's another very deliberately paced film. It's weird. It's different. I liked the things that other people hated about it.
Yep.
So.
Agree. Okay. Tim, you got one more for us?
I've got so many more, but yeah. Now, another one that I saw where I just want to see these things out because I'm curious about them. I want to know what they're going to do. I've got a couple of these, but I'll just pick one here for right now. I want to see what they're going to do with Borderlands.
Yeah.
Eli Roth is making an adaptation of the video game Borderlands, and it's just nutty enough that it seems like it could be a lot of fun. This is another one of those ones where it's either going to be a blast or I am just going to hate every frame of it. But I'm just so curious about what he's going to do with it. It's, it seems like it's very much in his wheelhouse. And I'm sure it's going to be over the top because those games sure are.
Yeah.
And I played them for a while a few years ago, and I was just I was so entertained by them. So if he can keep that kind of energy with it, we've learned in the past couple of years that there can be good video game adaptations.
Yes.
The Last of Us, and I thought Super Mario was a lot of fun.
Agree.
Thank you.
It was cute.
Thank you.
It was cute, but then, if I may, can I go into a couple of my other kind of honorable mentions?
Fire away.
I'm curious. You were talking about horror sequels. I don't know when Maxine comes out. But it's the third in the X trilogy. We had X and we had Pearl that both came out in 2022. That Pearl was, I thought, a really fun, prequel, companion piece to X. And Maxine is going to take place in the 80s, and it's got, when Carlo Esposito is going to show up as like a CD porn producer, if you can, an adult movie producer.
You're good.
This is going on YouTube. I got to watch it. But it just sounds like it could be a lot of fun, just because those other two movies really surprised me. But yeah, there's a lot coming out that I'm curious about, just to see what they're going to do with it, because if you look at all the anticipated things coming out for 2024, how many of them are not reboots or sequels or prequels or remakes or, something? There's just an awful lot. So thank everybody else here for reminding me that there are original films coming out this year as well.
Yeah, and I echo your thoughts on Borderlands. I love that video game series, and I feel like this is the poster child for high ceiling, low floor. Like, it could be amazing. It could be absolutely terrible. But one thing that's for sure is we're getting another entry into the Jack Black video game cinematic universe, which is the only cinematic universe that I care about, as Jack Black is playing Claptrap in this movie, which is a hilarious casting as a robot, which will be incredible. So, yeah, that'll be great.
Wait a second. He's in Borderlands, but then also will be in Minecraft. Is that correct?
Yes, and Minecraft.
Oh, my goodness.
And he was in Super Mario Bros.
Right.
Yeah, so he's really got quite the portfolio now. All right, if I'm gonna pick one more, oh man, this is so hard, but I gotta go. Speaking of well, I can't even call this original, but it feels original because it's been so long since the basis for this movie came out. Nosferatu. I gotta go. Nosferatu, from director Robert Eggers. Of course, a remake of one of the great classic vampire films of all time, one that everybody should see and one that is very interesting. Robert Eggers is the director of films The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman. So sad that this one's not called The Nosferatu, but I understand. But it's got a great cast. We've got Emma Corrin. I know Nicholas Hoult is in it, as well as Willem Dafoe. And it should be totally bizarre and amazing. They've released one still for this movie, which is like the shadow of a hand. It's like a beautiful shot, and it's got me totally hyped. I think Robert Eggers is one of the freshest, has one of the freshest perspectives in film right now. His stuff is bonkers, but I really love it. So I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, he's one of those directors who, whenever you're watching by him, it's going to be an experience, whether you like it or not.
100%.
Gonna stick with you.
Yes.
Well, and you're watching his movie too, right? Like, it's so unique. Like, the style of those movies is so unique.
Yeah, he has a voice for sure.
I'll never forget watching The Witch with my cousin-in-law, Zach, if you're listening to this. He had seen it several times, and I had not, and he laughed the entire time at me, jumping like a small child, wetting my pants. It was quite the experience.
That's a movie that just scares you with its big, long, drawn out. Like they don't even jump scare you. They just like let the dread sink in, and you just start to feel like you're not alone. And oh man, it really.
Yeah,
gets
I was picking up like Shining vibes from
yes.
that one. That my memory of seeing The Witch in the theater was saw it I think at the Chase, maybe something like that, and. There was somebody, we sat through the whole movie. I was very into it, enjoyed the whole thing. Person I was with enjoyed it as well. At the end, the movie ends. Obviously, that's a good place for it to end. But somebody a few rows back just stands up and goes, 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. like he thought it was going to be something that it obviously wasn't. But I was just like... so you're just going to let everybody, somebody else make all of the decisions for you and determine what you think is going to be good. But just go in and see a film and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
That brings me to another point that I actually wanted to address, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
The Witch is a 90-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about everybody else, but I'm getting a little weary with all of the films that they're just bloating up to be too many parts, too many hours. I just saw that when they make the film version of Wicked, it's going to be 2 parts, which makes no sense to me.
No,
it's like that could be a really good. That one earns a 2.5-hour running time, if you ask me.
Yep.
But it does not need to be 2 films. I miss $10 to $20 million movies. I miss mid-budget things that you just go to see because that's what's playing next. Now, obviously, with movie prices going up and up, that's just something that it feels like is of the past. Just catching a flick. At the multiplex. I really want to see more of this happening. Shorter films, 90 to 100 minutes is about as long as most movies need to be. 2 hours on the outside. But that said, look at what some of my films I'm looking forward to are. Obviously, I'm like, now, Denis Villeneuve, you take your time, man.
That's right. 3.5 hours. Yeah, go for
exactly.
it.
But so maybe I'm a hypocrite here, but I do miss lower budget, just movie people's movies where you don't really need to make it all just green screen and spectacle. I miss films that are about characters.
Yep. Totally.
It is rare to see a film where you wish it had more time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there are those, but also on the too long is there are so that last Avatar did not need to be 3 hours and 20 minutes. Napoleon was, I want my money back for the 2 hours and 38 minutes I spent watching it. I would like to see tighter films, but I will say Oppenheimer, my favorite movie of last year, and I will defend it, was riveting the whole time. I was just in awe of what a big brain movie that was and how Christopher Nolan did not dumb down a thing to pander to an audience. And bravo for that. And bravo for his commitment to big screen.
Shooting on film.
Created a whole new black and white film for IMAX.
That's right.
I mean, if you look at it in the film nerds in us, if we look at all that, I mean, it's genius. But yeah, I don't know why in this day and age, people think that we're going to need more than 3 hours to tell a story, because Killers of the Flower Moon could have been cut by 40 minutes and we wouldn't have missed anything.
Correct.
Totally agree. Yeah, and the lower budget stuff gets relegated to streaming and it never sees the light of day. So it's a bummer.
It's true, which leads me to my final pick.
Go for it.
Actually, so speaking on all
to derail
of that,
the podcast.
No, that wasn't a derail. That's very relevant.
It's actually perfect because my final pick is actually it's going to be released on Hulu on February 9th. It's going to go straight there. It is a movie that I think the budget falls within $10 to $20 million. It's by Searchlight Pictures, which I do believe that they're one of my favorite studios. Every Searchlight Picture film, I'm always going to turn it on. I don't care what it is. I usually trust what they have to put out. And this one in particular, it's called Suncoast. And Suncoast is the name of a facility. The story follows a girl whose brother is terminally ill, and basically this is where he is going to spend the last days of his life. Her mother is played by Laura Linney. There's a man that she meets mysteriously, played by Woody Harrelson. So, not creepy. It's just Woody Harrelson. And I love what's going on with this character, with the girl, is that she is figuring out who she is in separation of her brother who's been sick for most of her life, and who she is as a teenager, what she's doing next, what grief she's going through. And I think those stories are so impactful, because those kind of reflect back on us, like what would I do in that situation? How would I respond? Would I rebel? Would I go ahead and just follow suit and hunker down and just like shut out the world? Those $10 to $20 million movies, they really are. They give some really good reflections and retrospect to our own lives. So yeah, Suncoast.
What was the title of that one again?
Suncoast. Yeah, Suncoast on February 9th hits Hulu.
I thought it was going to be about the video store.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, only 2 weeks away, so that'll be one to look out for on Hulu. So that's all for our picks, but I want to go around the horn one more time and just see if anybody has any more honorable mentions or any points they want to bring up to round things out. And Lynn, we'll start with you.
All right. A film that I really wanted to include on my list was Twisters, because I love the original. It's just such a great cast, and it was so fun. And now they have decided it's not a remake, it's not a sequel, it's a new chapter. And it's going to be directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who did Minari. And so I'm interested to see it. Daisy Edgar Jones is going to lead the cast, and it's going to be July 19th. And I'm just, I think it's going to be summer fun. We can't always be film snobs, because we have to enjoy good mass entertainment. And I think that really speaks to it. And I really hope it is enjoyable and entertaining.
I love that. Yeah, it's good. Well said. Ranger, what you got?
All right, let me just rattle off a few titles. I won't go too in depth, but here's some that I just are on my list. The Promised Land, only because I love Mads Mikkelsen. I can't wait to see that film. That looks really good. Hitman, Love Linklater. I've got the new Alien movie that's going to be coming out. I'm really excited about seeing that. That's one that I'm Ballerina, which is like in the John Wick world, is one I'm excited for. And then here's one I might have to fight some of you on, maybe. I'm excited for Gladiator 2. Okay. I'm really excited for Gladiator 2. And no shame whatsoever in that. I know the first one kind of sometimes is a lightning rod for criticism, but boy, what it does so well. And I'm excited to see the sequel. So cool.
I'm a big Gladiator fan. I didn't want the sequel because I'm just like, let it go. But now that it's on the horizon, I have to admit that I can't wait. Definitely.
It's amazing how we're in an age when, a sequel to something that came out 24 years ago is something that we don't even, it's
just a regular occurrence.
Yeah. I mean, it was a big deal. I remember 1990, Godfather 3 comes out, and we've been waiting 16 years. And same thing happened. 16 years since Return of the Jedi came out, when Phantom Menace came out. But now it's like, oh, wow, Gladiator is that old. Therefore, I am that old as well.
Yeah. Crazy. Sure. Tim, anything else you wanna mention?
Yeah, a few. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes.
I saw the trailer for that, and it looked like a blast. That's another one where like every film in that last Planet of the Apes trilogy just got crazier and crazier. But for whatever reason, I had so much fun, even when, all the apes had machine guns and infinite
horseback.
Ammo, and just
monkeys.
Like, you know what? This is what I'm here for. This is exactly the film that I wanted to see. It was an excuse to eat popcorn. Also looking forward to Alien Romulus, I think is the title. And the part of that is coming from, Alien and Predator are so kind of intertwined, obviously. And that last Predator film, Prey, was one of the best things that I have seen since 2020. And I am enjoying the fresh perspective on horror classics. There's another one, The Wolfman, is coming out at the end of next year, and it's by the same writer who did the what I thought was an excellent film, The Invisible Man, with Elizabeth Moss a few years ago. And it's bring back these universal monsters. Why not? They're evergreen. That's something that they're so hardwired into storytelling that I don't mind something like that being retold, as opposed to something like Back to the Future, which is untouchable as far as I'm concerned. But that's another one. And then I was talking about this one before the show as well, but I want to see what they're going to do with the new Karate Kid movie.
Yeah.
I hear that Ralph Macchio is involved. I hear that Jackie Chan is involved. So it's two very different worlds of Karate Kiddom coming into play in that film. So I want to see what's going on. And I am a fan of Cobra Kai, even though it's just silly as the day is long. But I really enjoy Karate Kid on a very personal level. It's one of my first favorite movies from when I was a child. So I'll check it out, whether I like it or not. I'm going to do what I try to do with every film that I see, which is go in with low expectations, and maybe I'll be surprised.
Yes, those are great picks. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is also on my list. I have just two more that nobody's mentioned yet. One is Joker Folie à Deux. Just because what in the world is that going to be? I mean, truly, I have no idea what to expect. So that's a good place to be. We'll see what Todd Phillips and Lady Gaga and the incomparable Joaquin Phoenix come up with on that one. And then Transformers 1, which I did not think I would name a Transformers film, but here's the key. It's animated. Transformers makes no sense in a live-action world. It is just such a preposterous concept in general that trying to ground it in reality is absolutely silly. So let's make an animated feature film and do this whole IP right. And we've got a good voice cast. I know Brian Tyree Henry is in the voice cast, who I love. Oh, yes. Chris Hemsworth, a few others. So it should be hopefully very fun.
Beautiful. Yeah, and the one counter argument about live action Transformers is that I thought Bumblebee was pretty terrific.
I agree. I agree with that.
I was not a fan of the Michael Bay films, but that's Transformers is another one I grew up on. I really enjoyed Nelson Shin's Transformers the movie from 1986, even though it was kind of a retelling of Star Wars. I didn't care. People liked Top Gun Maverick, and it was a retelling of Star Wars.
There you go.
Well, just a reminder, guys, the Garfield movie is coming out in 2024. Yeah. I know you guys missed that on your list. If anyone wants to revise right now, it's got Chris Pratt in it. Go ahead. Anyone? No. Okay, just checking.
Next time.
Chris Pratt is not in enough things.
That's right.
That's a well documented fact.
Not enough exposure at all. I would say.
Well, if you're thinking of Chris's, I think he'd be the lowest one.
Oh no,
it's true. He is number 3.
Even though he's charming and funny, I mean Evans, Pine, and Hemsworth, I would. Just personal, but I understand that there is the Garfield crowd there, but I think we've kind of flogged a dead horse there, perhaps. But you never know. See, this is the thing. You never know. You might think something is stupid, and then it winds up being very clever and entertaining, aka Barbie.
Yeah,
sure.
Although I went in expecting something special just because of Greta Gerwig, but
fair.
Well, right, but you know what I'm saying. Everybody was like, people are, I'm not seeing a movie about a doll, and I go, oh, you are so wrong there.
It's not just about a doll.
It's more than that.
I'm a big fan of the documentaries, so I just got to plug 2 that I'm really looking for. Yeah. They just came out of Sundance. Super/Man. It is the Christopher Reeve story, and it's about how he became a better person after his accident.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see
amazing.
this.
Yeah.
Me
I know.
too. I didn't
I'm
know about
really
that. That sounds great.
excited to see it. And Warner Brothers purchased it. So we'll see what happens there. And then there is an unusual one with Will Ferrell and his best friend Harper. They have been best friends for 30 years. And it is about Harper telling Will that he's transgender.
Yeah, I saw that. That will be interesting.
Yeah, that should be interesting. And another one coming out of Sundance that I cannot wait for is called A Real Pain, and it's Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin.
Yeah. Big news, big accolades coming that way already. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just from the recent Sundance. Those are the three that are on my list.
I love
The
it.
only other ones I can think of. I'm looking forward to the Fall Guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Just because, hey, Lee Majors, I hear, might even show up in it. So looking forward to that one. Ryan Gosling is very, very watchable, speaking of Barbie. And then another one that I'll probably check out at some point, but I don't know how to feel about it, is Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Other sequels, don't forget Bad Boys 4. I'm a huge Bad Boys fan, like legitimately. Bad Boys 4,
Despicable Me,
which is kind of the fifth Bad Boys actually, is actually coming out. The Bike Riders, that's also got Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, Tom Hardy. This is the same director from Mud, who was Jeff Nichols, right?
Jeff Nichols, yeah.
This looks good. And
Wonderful.
this one's on my radar, the American Society of Magical Negroes.
Yes.
That trailer looks incredible.
Yeah.
So I hope we're not deceived like we talked about, but it looks really, really good.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. The satire at play is something that needs to be satirized.
Yes.
So I'm excited about that one too.
Amazing. Well, awesome discussion. Thank you all so much for being here. What a great time. I'm officially extremely excited for 2024 in film, which is exactly where I wanted to be at the end of this episode. So thank you so much again for joining us. We hope to have you all back on the podcast very soon.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope we get to play trivia soon.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's run it back.
We might have to look for another movie-related trivia.
There you go. I like that idea. All right, and to all of our Popcorn for Breakfast listeners and viewers on YouTube, we want to thank you for tuning in with us. We have a whole slate of exciting new movie reviews coming up for you, including American Fiction as well as Argyle. So it's going to be a good time. We've got a lot going on as we ramp up into awards season. We have to give a special thanks, as always, to our executive producer, Ryan, as well as our title sponsor, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings, and the band Rhetoric, who created our amazing original music, which you're about to hear right now. We will see you next time.
Talk to you then.